All those ASMR channels with the chainsaw, they go, people go to sleep on them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Gamecast Weekly. The show covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. I'm Vin, the man next to me. That's Jordan. The man next to him is Pedro Mateus, and that's you watching us live on Twitch, helping us for him. You know him, you love him. Cocaine Voltron, 2 canes, nothing to do with the powder-like substance that you might find inside of a DeLorean in the 80s. No, sir.
Or the bottom of bottom of a bag of Fruit Loops.
What?
2 canes same? No.
2 canes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 520, and if you believe that wacky maths, that's 10 years?
Yeah, 520.
Blaze it.
It's like 420, but with a walker.
Yeah.
10 years of an internet show. Yeah, we are basically dinosaurs.
520 because some of us have work. That's the one. That's the one I saw.
Right. 520, blaze it. Just a little bit. Blaze it responsibly.
Yeah. After work is done.
So what's new? What's going on? If you are hanging out in our super secret Discord, you'll know that I decided to buy the biggest, best, most powerful CPU available currently for modern. No, I didn't. This is a, what is it? 5600G. No, this is not interesting in itself. It's not. Look, there's the 1700. How many? That has done 300 episodes of this show. It's not terribly interesting by itself, other than it's cheap, 6-core, 12-thread, and it's got an APU that technically will display something. What was interesting is I had a B350 Tomahawk motherboard, and I wanted to share that experience of doing the PC equivalent of performing a Corvette LS1 engine swap on a Porsche 944. It technically will work, but it's not pretty, and some things just don't work the same because that's a lot to shove in that little Eufy, and it's in black and white now. That's how tight the space was.
Charlie Chaplin BIOS.
It is frighteningly close to what I actually want in a modern Eufy BIOS because they've had to just shrink everything down and simplify everything to get it to fit. Like they had to remove color to save the space, but you can navigate it perfectly fine with a keyboard. You don't even need, I mean, it does have support for your gerbil, but I mean, you can genuinely just go through everything with a keyboard like you could in the old days, like the Mojotron BIOS. The downside is some things are grayed out that are kind of important, like fan control that, we're looking forward to getting that update, hopefully, and the ability to overclock is just grayed out, which is unfortunate because I want to underclock the CPU. Pedro, something you ran into, I did have to fight with it to get the memory back to 3200. Like, that took a couple of, like, curiosity, like, death clicks. I'm like, are you going to do it? No? Okay, let's try the
Are you going to come back up after I reboot you?
Yeah, I had to play musical chairs with the RAM sticks on my B350 when I put the 3700X on it back in the day. That was interesting. Yeah.
So it does work. I'll probably just get a modern motherboard for it. But hey, there was no way I was going to test that if I had the motherboard already. So we're using it right now. It's the thing. How about you, Jordan? New exciting things.
Very, very new, exciting things. I had to work for most of the week, so nothing crazy interesting. I did see the new Thor, and it's all right. Not as good as the last one, but still pretty solid.
Do you think like that Thor hits differently because I think like a lot of people outside like Jeff Goldblum's in this one? Okay, and I'm talking about the previous Thor. I wasn't expecting a comedy. You know, like what the hell is this? This is interesting.
Yeah. I think my main gripe with Love and Thunder is that maybe it's a little too much of a comedy, and like the story doesn't work because they're trying to like cram more jokes in. But they're funny jokes. I like them. So yeah.
And like when Jane got the hammer for the first time and said it's Thorben time.
Yeah, she did do that. And like her face went all fucked up. I think I'm not sure if that was intentional or was just the result of like underpaid, overworked CG artists. But they left it in the final film.
You can absolutely bang suggest Show titles. How about you, Pedro? Thorben time.
I too was busy with work this week, but as you can probably see, there's new things on my head, new cans as they were.
Hang on, let me get the volume up. Maybe I'll see it better.
Yes. If you're watching the video version, that is. But yeah, no, I got me some Sennheiser HD 599s. It's one below the HD 600s because the HD 600s are like 300 pounds. These were less than 100, so yeah, we're keeping these. Also, they're much comfier than the previous AKGs that I had because they don't clip the top and the bottom of my ears.
Because
this is nice. I'm not an elf. I just have a big head and proportionally big ears to go with it. So these actually go around my ears, so that's good.
Pedro, I have the perfect headphone for people with big ears. Come on, you know you want them. They're pink.
If you want to grow like sick traps, that's how you get them, right? You put them on your head and your neck has to stabilize.
The price is very important, and these were very well reviewed for the price that they were, so I went with them.
I'm just saying, can you bludgeon a home intruder to death with those? No. You can with these.
on the hobo scale, how would you rate them?
You know, you're probably
half a hobo.
4.5. Yeah. Unlike the horse, which has just an infinity symbol in the hobo scale.
The horse transcends the hobo scale. It's like the Jiren of Linux Gamecast, completely out of our league. It's the Steam. Yeah, dated Dragon Ball Super jokes. That's what you come here for.
Hey man, that's how you gotta rock and roll.
Yeah. So let's talk about Steam updates. We have a new Steam client beta, and it's a very, very tiny one that comes with one change, and that is that you can now pair Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons either in I don't have the thing handy where you like slide the two Joy-Cons into the one controller and it becomes one controller, or you can treat them as two distinct controllers. Which is nice, because once I go and fix all the left Joy-Cons because of the drift issues, I'll have a bunch of wireless controllers for stuff like Towerfall. Which
I just want to imagine that talk at Nintendo's I bet we can get them to pay us $60 for a block of plastic. Deal.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen the price of some of those amiibos?
Did you see the SNES Classic?
That someone at Valve is actually watching us live, because during one of the intermissions last week, we were talking about the Joy-Cons and the fact that they are blue teeth. And Jordan was the one who mentions, technically you can get them to pair with your PC, but can't do much with them right now.
We were also talking about pairing the Steam controller to a Nintendo Switch. Valve, that's the feature I really want. Get on that shit.
We'd have to go back and watch and figure out who gets to be right after that then. Don't make us do that on second thought, Valve. Let's just let that one lie. Couple of updates, though, to the Steam Deck, and one that kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, because I don't ever think about it, because when you think about the Steam Deck, you're thinking about, it's just something I'm going to carry around and I'm going to play, but this thing's got display out on it, doesn't it, Pedro?
It does. As it turns out, it is a fully compliant USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port that it has on the top.
I remember when NVIDIA had those.
Yes. So it does, you can push up, I think you can actually push a UHD 3840 by 2160 screen at 60 hertz. Probably not a game at that resolution, obviously, but you can, and a lot of people were, and, well, there were some issues with, sharing or just having the picture show up on an external display properly, and Valve, with the latest beta for the deck, they have actually fixed it. Now, this is the very teeny tiny little beta update, which you probably won't even run into anymore, because even if you are running the stable, you already have this, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, they added a couple other things too. On the deck UI, because they have guides integrated in the Steam overlay, there are spoiler tags, and now they actually go away when you click them. If you're like, okay, yeah, I'm at this part of the game, I'm okay with the spoiler. So it's no longer like reading a bunch of declassified Department of Justice material. Also, long game names will now scroll. So if you have cursed FOAD, like in its original form, you can actually read the entire thing as it scrolls in a marquee tag.
I just like the fact that, I mean, in 2022, people still got to deal with overscan. Like, I thought that was just like nice and dead in the days of CRTs, but no, you too can relive that miserable time. But I mean, that's a good thing, because
it's all adapter stuff, though.
It is. But we all know just how dumb it can be for something to just be like that far off, but also how much that can just ruin the entire experience for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like 6 inches off
along the bottom, yeah.
Yeah. But as Pedro alluded to, SteamOS 3.3 is here, Pedro, and we can download it finally on our no, probably not.
Nope. No. It's still just for the deck, but yes, the important thing here is that Valve released an operating system with 2 3s on its name. SteamOS 3.3.
It's the 3MOS?
I can't wait for like
yes,
39x squared.
But yeah, it is. It's only available for the deck officially. You can still get the Holo ISO and a couple of others that are attempting to basically make it device agnostic. But yes, you get all of the big boy beta roundups for your deck. Hopefully, the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi cock-ups will be fixed for good this time, Valve. And the display scaling, like we mentioned earlier, it's been fixed for both desktop and game mode. You can also disable it if you liked the auto scaling that it was doing. You can just disable the new bits. And if you create a new desktop, a new network connection in desktop mode, you can now actually successfully connect to it in game mode, which previously was not a thing that you could do at all. So yeah, it is more of the usual bug fixing and some performance improvements with new drivers for the APU as well. So that's,
I think it's kind of neat. Like they've done a couple of things on the desktop as well, which is something you got to keep, because people are determined to use these as like desktop replacement kind of pseudo devices, or at least try the home version. And they've moved Firefox into a flatpak. I'm like, good move. Good move. And you know, the first time you launch Firefox from the desktop, you're going to get a like nice little prompt for the installation of the Discover Software Center. What is the Discover Software Center, Pedro Mateus?
It's like the GNOME Software Center or the Ubuntu Software Center. It's just that, but focused specifically for the KDE desktop environment.
But what's the Software Center, Pedro?
It is a bit of software which allows you to download other software which is available in the repositories in this particular case. Yes.
Another thing that they sorted out was echo cancellation. CPU overhead. Apparently that was draining battery, because it was just sitting there in the background like, I'm canceling echoes. And I'm like, I'm not saying anything.
Even if you weren't actively using the microphone and there was nothing active that required the microphone to be doing echo cancellation, it was still doing it. They fixed that now too.
Have you tried the like headphones with like a Discord call or anything like that?
I've tried the headphones. That works fine. There was that issue that with the KZs and a few other earbuds that it had a little bit of white noise, constant white noise. They fixed that now too.
Was that with Bluetooth headphones or just wired ones?
Wired headphones.
He doesn't want to avoid the warranty. He isn't going to use Bluetooth.
That's only on the Nintendo Switch then.
Oh man,
you could.
That's the thing. Good news, everyone. I want to be excited about this, but I realized last night everything I know about Halo, I learned from Adult Swim and that episode or that clip. And up until now, we could kind of launch Halo under Linux, but you just really couldn't get the full Master Chef experience. But Pierre Loup Grivas has said Proton Experimental has just been updated with initial Halo Infinite support. We're still looking at rendering issues, but it should get in game now, to which I'll say progress for those of you filthy window dual booting heathens that somehow already had Halo Infinite.
Yeah, Eggy has been working really, really hard on getting Infinite running on the GE branch of stuff. So I don't know how much of that was upstream from his branch. But yeah, no, definitely being able to get in game. I think matchmaking is still broken though, so you can only do single player. Is that right?
Yeah, that's still up to the anti-cheats.
Microsoft, you love Linux, right? I've seen the photos. We have photographic evidence. Now, the other thing that we want to bring up with Proton Experimental that Jordan, you didn't get a chance to jump on, but it's something that has been brought up multiple times by our own Svang here, is Vermintide 2 get a little bit of an announcement.
They did. Not so much an announcement. It was a very quiet Steam Depot update that, the crazy stalkers who exist on the Steam forums, they're refreshing every time. There's like a bit changes. They bump a version number. But they noticed that a bunch of EAC stuff was put into the main branch. And yeah, depending on who you ask, if you have Strider's magical computer, it works fine. Sort of, kind of, if you're hosting.
If you're the one hosting, yeah. Apparently, I think it was Arthur and Unoid from our Discord were trying that too earlier in the week. And if you're the one hosting, supposedly it works just fine. If you're not the one hosting and the game is not actively crashing for you, after a minute or two, you just get kicked out. So it's still
progress, right? Like if they can like extend the time until you get kicked to like the average length of like a play session,
like the full then like 40 or 50 minutes, however long it takes. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're good. That's all we need, right? It crashes after you clear the mission.
Like the little bit that I read, and like the developers were actively soliciting feedback in the Steam forums. Like, somebody's curious. Somebody's tried it around. Like,
and the other thing about EAC this week is that if you're on Arch or any distro that recently got glibc 236, yeah, probably had issues running EAC. It was dead.
Well, you see, Pedro, I run an operating system that the internet tells me that can't play video games because it's too old and outdated. So I'm just going to sit back, relax, and laugh and Debbie at 11.
Operating system and the CPU.
And yeah,
playing games on Threadripper.
First gen Threadripper. Yeah, that's not for gaming. It's for calculating digits of pi. But no, it's it's any sort of progress on that front is good. Like considering that a year ago shit just wouldn't even launch, right? Like the fact that like folks can get into game, it's doing pretty good. And yeah, good to see that mainline Proton is getting the MF Plat stuff sorted, because Proton GE is great, but you do have to go out of your way to install it. And
this is true. I mean, like Halo, like I don't know if Halo will ever be in a bundle, but I'm sure the Vermintide 2 part will be at some point. And once it's all sorted, then I'll play around with it. I just don't have the time to, or the patience to like, hey, it kind of works for a minute. I'm like, what good? I want to play the video game. But something I was joking around, maybe I'm just going to put this out there. Somebody knows about this. Has anybody bothered to do a ROM hack of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES that allows 4-player online? That's asking a lot from a ROM hack, because it's a single-player game with no, on the NES.
You're going to need a fancy emulator or a really modded NES.
I don't think we're going to be playing it on original hardware, Pedro. I'm curious as to why your brain went there, but...
Well, until that happens, we can play the new Ninja Turtles game natively on Linux, and hey, it's got some fixes. There's a new release or new patch out. Bunch of bug fixes, a lot involving multiplayer. They changed the dizziness now, so if you get hit with a dizzy status, you no longer have iframes, which is going to probably fuck a bunch of us up when we try to play this game again. If you've been watching us play Shredders Revenge in the after show or on Thursdays, you'll notice that sometimes the bosses will teleport when you hit them too hard. So that's been fixed. Also, if you start a new game, it doesn't reset your achievement progress, and multiplayer now has platform icons, so you can see who you're playing with is a filthy console peasant or a Windows user.
The one that jumped out at me was the one that last week happened twice, which was fixed many connection issues at the beginning of stages that could result in desyncs and missing players. Hey, finally! Yeah, that was like the one issue that I ran into, though I guess with the removal of the iframes with the dizziness, some bosses, especially the ones that call hordes, of monsters, those are just gonna stun fuck you in place, aren't they?
Hey,
yeah,
man,
you just gotta get good.
You wouldn't leave in the good stun fucking like that one time. I figured it was like the Rat King we were up against, or one of the other like that just like stun locked in the corner. We just got to wail on him for like a minute and a half until he died.
There was when Arthurian and I were playing on Thursday, there was one boss where it was like two different bosses, and you had to like fight them each. And like one of them just glitched and stood in the corner, so we just killed the one guy and then murdered the fuck out of the other dude. And it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna complain.
Take what we can get. Yeah, that's good. It's good to know. It's .emu game, native Linux, Vulkan. Runs great. Happy to see it. $24.99 if you want to pick it up. And yeah, we occasionally play it. And you know what? I'm always impressed by that game when I see other people playing it on Twitch, because when we play it, we know what it is. It's a button mashing, just chaos fest, because we'll get 6 people in like that. And it's interesting. The depth of the game is what I'm trying to get at, is like far as the strategies, and it is possible to do no hit runs of it. Like, wow.
Yeah, this is all done by people who care far more than we do.
Yeah.
all right. Well, speaking of not caring, coming up next, we got the news segment. We're gonna be talking about Logitech's new cloud gaming platform.
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, it's the future.
Windows ME, probably.
The news this week, we'll get to that, but Logitech, come on. Before we get to that, though, we do need to thank you. Every single one of you.
Before we get to that,
I don't know. That is something that I dare not.
Bitch, you were the one talking about stuff that you're doing next week. That hasn't happened yet. So,
look, I already apologized. To be fair, someone left the keys in the time machine. So
how many?
Was that you in the toilet that was flying above the dock there? Well, so if yeah, so segues. If you want to fund our Doctor Who spinoff, our very shitty Doctor Who spinoff, head on over to patreon.com/LinuxGamecast. Join up. You can get some cool stuff, which like access to our Discord channel, which you can also get by subbing to us on Twitch, twitch.tv/LinuxGamecast. Link your Patreon account and your Discord account and your Twitch account, and hopefully all your information won't be stolen, by us at least. But yeah, you can get some other cool stuff like access to the pre-free super shows, and where then Pedro and I talk about, what did we talk about this week? It kind of just blew by.
I don't know. We were like procrastinating because we had on a guest.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. We continued the tradition of waffling an hour before we go live, and you can listen to that if you want by joining our Patreon. You can listen to that live as well in Discord. But you don't get that sweet video feed unless you give us more of those ducats. You can get your name in the credits. You can RSVP to game streams. I do some stuff on Thursdays sometimes. Ven does Trackmania on Tuesdays and Fridays. So.
Hey man, you had to work Thursday, so I was able to get a small collection of people together, and we played Turbo Golf Racing. And
not Rocket League. How's that?
I like it. I really like it, and everyone else really liked it. And we went to play it in the after shows on Friday, and it was really being sketchy with trying to get everybody into groups. But it only has like 6 slots, so it immediately turned into no room available.
That's always the pits. Well, we got some brand new Patreons. We got to thank Monsieur Sacred Egg. Who is our new patron, and Livet, who left us a little message. Pedro, would you like to read the message?
Yeah, Livet says, like, my plan was that I would send you feedback, then you would ignore my feedback, then I would feel okay not to be a patron.
All right.
Now, I can't take it anymore. I am left with no choice but to support your excellent, dubious, a Saturday night train wreck. You venerable, crazy maybe. Person, you. Thank you, Livet. No.
Yeah. You could not have cut us deeper. But.
Indeed. We got a store as well. If you want to display your pride of your Linux Gamecast love to the world, if you want to explain to Karen Fukuhara who the hell we are and why we're on your chest, you can go to store.linuxgamecast.com. Yeah, buy some merch, buy a coffee cup, buy some stickers, buy some hell stuff, and just like slap them on all your property, on your refrigerator, on your car, on your friends, because they're your property apparently. Yeah. We good stuff in the store. We got wish zones as well. If you head on over to linuxgamecast.com, mouse over that support button. I have one, Ven has one, Pedro has one, Jill has one.
Does that have fans on it? I I thought those were.
Is that just the lumbar pillow?
I don't know.
Is that RGBs in the lumbar pillow?
It is. I looked for the cheapest, like 400-pound capacity chair, and it was that one. So, yeah, buy me some dice, buy Pedro some lock picks. I guess you don't need a new processor anymore, do you? You need a new motherboard. One that has full color BIOS.
Here, do you want to fuck up $100 bill on some fans? There you go. There's your chance, kids. I already bought one of those. I'll let everyone. I'll have my report for it's the $5 milkshake. I was like, all right, what does a $31 fan sound like?
Ideally, did you have to hear it at all?
Are you gonna have the Vincent Vega reaction of this is good? It's not $5 good, but this is good.
Here's the thing. You got to bring that up, Pedro. I ran into a very interesting problem because I felt myself with like a spare 140 Noctua fan. And I was like, you know what? I'll put it in Jackbox. So I put it in Jackbox and I cut it up and I'm like, oh, it's so quiet. It was moving so much air so silently. It caused a whistling noise with some of the front panel things.
That's good, though.
No, because I couldn't have the... like, what? Really? Fine.
It finds all the issues with, the
actual
flaws.
Physical case design. Then I'm like, oh, how can I fix that? Oh, blowtorch, hacksaw.
Some blue tack.
braces.
Just slap some blue tack in between the panels. There we go. Done.
No, this is the mounting metal for the fans, Pedro.
For the actual, okay, right?
It was sucking air very quietly over it, and it was causing a whistling noise.
Ooh, okay. No, that's
there's a little. There's just a little hole there. Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for your support. You let us do what we do each and every week. Definitely come at least swing by in our Discord. Just Discord is not your thing. We got an IRC wide open, which is bridged. Catch us live to our Twitch chat, and we're there. We're hanging out and we talk, and that's one thing we're pretty accessible.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's talk about peripherals.
Let's talk with something that is coming. The Logitech G. I don't want to be the first to... Oh, G, go. Does this better? Can I hit escape? No.
No, you add
There's
add
a little
block.
cross in the corner.
Bag of dicks. .net. All right. Go away. Where's the X?
Top right corner, I think.
Aha.
All right. We did it. Computer experts, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, so what we have here is Logitech and everyone's favorite company, Tencent Games, announcing a partnership for a portable gaming handset. And what could make that even better? It's going to be cloud-based. That's right. I'm not making this up. Which I think, like you at home, you're sitting there going, why do these other ways, like sensible companies, just light money on fire with dumb shit like this? Because
remember Google Plus? There's a Google Plus icon at the bottom of that post.
Dude, hang on. Oh man, there's
shit,
a fucking,
there is, yeah.
Dude, all right, get wrecked. There's
Stumble
the old
upon
deck.
delicious, yeah.
Oh man, somebody needs to update that nonsense Logitech. I don't know what I think about the Logitech other than it's a dumb idea. You're just lighting money on fire. It's a horrible idea. It's a bad idea. Did I mention it's probably not a good idea? And it's Logitech. Logitech making buttons on a console. Every single fuck mothering one of those micro switches will fail in 11 months.
And then you gotta go buy a new one. That's the point. It's planned obsolescence.
Logitech is the company responsible for teaching me how to resolder micro switches, surface mount. Like, I know how to do that now. I'm effective at that. I was like, pop, pop, pop. Then I just switched over to these Alcom because they know how to make a fuck mothering micro switch.
So, I mean, Logitech and Tencent here, they're looking at the resounding success of Google Stadia and Amazon Luna, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. We can set that up. So this is basically just going to be Stadia 2 Samus Returns, because now it's on a fucking mobile. Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a portable machine for streaming. NVIDIA learned that lesson with the Shield and GeForce Now. Pick a Shield, any of them. The portable ones anyway. And trying to play GeForce Now on the Shield tablet with the 3G module, I think it was LTE actually. The delay on that was horrible. You couldn't do it. Why?
Okay,
but
here's the problem. The whole cloud gaming, you want to taste it, You got a PC, you got more than one PC. You know what? You can do it on your mobile. Go try it out on Steam, in-house, on the same Wi-Fi, in the same room. Taste that and go, you know what? If that was only 20 times worse, you'd have my money.
But we have artificial intelligence latency compensation, you guys.
Negative latency. Hello, Stadia.
Yeah. You know what? Tencent, Logitech, go burn all the money you want on this. No one's gonna buy it.
Whatever money laundering pyramid scheme this is set up, I mean, good on you guys, but I mean, you could have sold it in something a slightly, just a little more believable, because they do say this is going to support multiple cloud gaming services, to which I'll say,
I look
Stadia
forward to the.
It's not going to be around by the time this comes out, and Nvidia might do something like Nvidia's like, you know what, pay us, fuck you.
And they're you know what? I would believe that Microsoft will partner with these guys because Microsoft's strategy now is just like get fucking everywhere. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
You know what?
Just get our shit on there.
But the Microsoft of New does care about its image a little bit.
I don't know. They're still buying Blizzard. So
did you? Was it Activision?
Yeah. It was. Microsoft was like, yeah, Activision Blizzard doesn't make like must-have games. No, there's nothing special about these people.
In their defense, in their acquisition, they're like, they don't make anything culturally. They basically said, "Oh, we're helping them out, man. We're helping."
To be fair, they haven't in a while.
Don't you want to play Overwatch 2.1,
which is the same game? Yeah.
No. We added one more team member and broke a bunch of shit.
Colorful and shit. ScummVM, new games added. This is brilliant.
Yeah, they do. ScummVM, the venerable open source gaming project that allows you to play a lot of your old Manic Mansion and other just like early 90s, late 80s PC games. They have a new release out, and they're supporting a bunch of
Sanitarium.
Yeah, so many new games, including the CD-ROM edition of Tender Loving Care, Uncle Henry's House, and Chewie, Escape from the F5, which, incidentally, when you say it like that in sequence, makes it sound like they're all part of a very depressing and emotionally scarring trilogy, but that's not actually the case.
I'm just going to say, anytime somebody out of context would bring up Uncle Henry's House, I'd play house. I don't think that's going to be a good story. I'm like,
no. Just yeah, that's just not going to end well.
Yeah, no, and the one game, like the one title that I recognized from that was the 11th Hours. How is that not supported until now? What happened? Seriously, what happened?
Was the 11th Hour?
It was an FMV
point and click adventure game. Yeah.
Was that the original? No, the Seventh Guest was the original one, right?
It's the Seventh Guest, and the 11th Hour was the second one.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's a sequel to this.
Allegedly, we don't know.
Yes.
Launched on the 3DO.
Okay.
What happened with that? I would genuinely would like to know.
You know what? Probably the 3DO people cut him a check, and they're like, all right, fine.
Yeah, it was like I had to find a copy of this on the 3DO. Good luck.
Get the camcorder out. Woo! Put a click menu there. All right, done. Here.
Yep. But yeah, most of the stuff from this release is just adding new game supports. They fixed some bugs in some of the older games. The full release notes are linked in the blog post that are linked in our show notes. It's a lot of clicking. I'm sorry, you guys, but you'll have to do it. I believe in you.
Oh no! Don't click on the video. It'll just pause.
Click on the video a couple times and see if it's playing or pausing, and tell us. I don't know.
Fair enough. That's not the only updates we have, because Dolphins are back, and it's been a while since we've heard from the Dolphin project.
It is, and I gotta switch this URL from French to English because the link in the show notes is in French. Yeah, they have the progress report out. Dolphin's been putting these out for once a month or once every couple months, and they'll consolidate them if there's not a lot of updates.
They killed my sparkles, Jordan.
Oh yeah, they added infrastructure for graphics modifications, and that's going to allow you to do per game graphical modification at like not the ROM hack level, which is pretty handy. There's a very complex write-up and a list of specific games that currently can utilize this feature, but right now all this can really do is fuck with the bloom settings and make them extra trippy. Also, interestingly, if you like reading developer diaries and seeing people just descend into madness,
I love that like IBM is just fucked with so many people for decades now with that goddamn cell processor.
Yeah, but there's a long documentation on getting Monster House, which is a game that you can basically play up into the very end, and then it eats shit.
Quick time events, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was just like a way that the GameCube handled a specific edge case. But yeah, also, if you're a Windows 7 or 8 user, see you in hell, no more Dolphin for you. If you're on Windows 10 for ARM, though, congratulations. You finally have a piece of software you can run. Congrats.
What? Do you think Windows is ever going to put like anything behind like having ARM? I mean, they have to, right? Because ARM is the future, allegedly.
I mean, they've been trying, but like, I don't know. If you look at like if you just compare the operating systems, the level of maturity of like Linux on ARM versus Windows, they have so much catching up to do. And like Apple has an entire division dedicated to this, and they're like going full steam ahead. They're ditching x86. I don't think.
Well, like when you look at the differences, man, I mean, because there is a image of Windows 10 for ARM, and it's like they got it to boot, did a victory lap, and fucked off.
Yeah, because what, you can run it on the Raspberry Pi, and that's kind of it.
Can you? Is there any, no, Apple, not really. No.
Well, you can play Dolphin on it now, so you can play some GameCube games.
Yeah, and all of the other not Raspberry Pi alternatives, like the Banana Pi and the Orange Pi, and
yeah, you can play Wii games on them too. It's great.
Yeah. Man, this game looks like we have Stranger Things at home.
I mean, it predates Stranger Things by a decade, but sure.
But yeah, by quite a few years.
Actually, you know what? Actually, it's not a bad movie for a kids movie. I remember watching it.
A movie? This was a movie?
Yeah, this is like the Monster House, the movie, the game or whatever. It was a movie. This is the tie-in game.
All right. Can we make it a little more confusing?
Yes, we can.
All right.
1,000 years ago. No. Let's talk about more Halo stuff.
Yes, specifically the DXVK kind. Because, yes, this is the big special sauce that made Proton, and the fact that it's included by default with Proton as compatible with all the games as it is currently. And version 1.10.3 is currently out. It added support for shared fences, which was needed to get the videos in Halo Infinite to work. Go figure. They fixed...
You managed to keep reading after Need for Speed 3? You didn't immediately check out and go play that?
Admittedly, I downloaded the modern patch for Need for Speed 3 because that's been fixed and it's actually working with the DXVK now. It was... I played it so long ago
Need for Speed 3 makes me... Like, I have visions of it. It's one of those things, if I go back and look at it, I'm like, oh... It's like GTA Vice City.
Yes, it was the pre-Porsche Unleashed one.
I have the box art like seared into my brain because I've seen that so many times. But yeah, like, don't think I've actually.
And Stray, they also fixed the. They enabled the D3D11 ignore graphical barriers option, which basically makes the internet's favorite new cat game work better. So,
also.
Stray performance.
Also, the prequel to Halo Infinite, BioShock Infinite, gets some rendering issues fixed. So it's the same series, right? It's the Infinite series.
Yeah, man.
And the original
carries on,
Prey,
man.
I think.
I don't know.
No, the second Prey.
I think the internet's done with the cat game once they realized, like, if you want to do the extra long play, you can get 5 hours out of it.
Yeah.
And nothing.
There's no replay value. Yeah.
It's got a meow button, Pedro. Why do you keep hating on it? Meow.
The jump button is contextual.
I strongly suggest everyone go and watch the zero punctuation on that because you kind of summed up everything that I thought about it. And I'm not going to talk too much shit about it because I haven't fucking played the game. Oh, who knows? It might be the best damn thing since Slice Kittens.
I want to play it, but
I don't.
Yes, I have sneaking suspicion that it.
Why don't you buy it for Nori and
yeah.
And then she can complain to me that I gave her a game that wasn't very long.
Just like my girlfriend bought all those Legos for her kid, and yeah.
OBS Studio. You might stream games or you want to stream a show. We're using OBS right now. Open Broadcaster Studio, and there is a new beta 28.9 Beta 1. This is a pre-release, and it's going to fuck up everything you got running, baby. It does. Oh, man, all of it. Why? Well, you know, sometimes you're going to make hard breaks, and it's hard break time, kids.
QT6.
Yeah.
Couple of things that I've been messed around with, which is good. They've switched from GLX capture to EGL since the NVIDIA drivers have been updating it, and AMD, you don't have to worry about it, which is going to result in a better experience. Currently, right now, that just means that it's not going to remember any of your sources. So you're going to have to reset those every time, unless you have all of your sources launched before you launch OBS. There's your hack. They did add support for H.264. That format is now available in V4L2, which is good for your webcams. Big move, though. QT6. Big move. Interface. That's a huge shift. It looks a little bit different, looks a little bit nicer, but nicety things. WebSockets, OBS WebSockets, if you deal with that, that comes baked in now at version 5.0, which is backwards compatible with fuck and or all. So keep that in mind. Basically what I'm saying is my entire stack was on fire. I'm like, neat. What did I do? I didn't complain about it. I went, huh. So then I headed off to the projects that I use. OBS captioning plugin needs some work with Qt6. I'm like, hey, this thing went to Qt6. On it. Working on it right now. Went to the OBS plugin for BitFocus and Companion. I'm like, hey, WebSockets 5.0. It's in the beta 1. Like, on it. So that's getting worked on. The GLX thing, I left a bug report on that months ago, so maybe it's no. That's with OBS, so hang on. Fucking maybe. And if you're
don't even bother submitting your pull requests.
Yeah.
Close one fix.
If you do want to build it, make sure you have access to Qt6, which I will say if you're running Debian 11 is available in backports. If you just want to grab that. But yeah, go play with it. A lot of your plugins are just not going to work with it. So this is why I want people to try it so you can do what I did. I went, oh man, the 2 plugins I lean on, I need to go to have and like say, hey, by the way, this is out. And
when is 28 proper slated for release? Do you know? Whenever it's done?
Yeah.
All right.
That's kind of how that rolls. Is as it is. So, yeah. What do we got coming up next? We're going to review a game, right, Jordan?
No, we're not. We're going to talk to a human being about open source game development. Hopefully, it won't be a train wreck.
Like a Mojotron?
Welcome back to the Chairquisition. Well, I don't think this is a Chairquisition. This is just more of a regular Inquisition. We're joined tonight by the inimitable Dennis Payne of Mojotron, as an open source game developer. Has some interesting projects under his belt, mostly involving taking old games, old abandonware open source games, and updating them to work. So Dennis, hello, hi,
hello.
Hello.
Hi, Dennis.
So I just wanted to say I told the other guys this earlier, but I had to stop watching Neil Gaiman's Sandman to listen to your talks, and I gotta say I am thoroughly unimpressed. There's no Gwendolyn Christie. At no point does a man get stuck into a glass ball by Charles Dance. You gotta really improve the production values on these talks, man. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and your background vis-a-vis open source games?
I got into programming as a kid because of the fact that I saw games on the Atari 2600 and said I wanted to do that. And so I've been...
What was that first game?
I don't remember what the game was, but just the idea of the various games that you could make on the Atari was enough that I wanted to do game development.
Oh man, I hope it wasn't E.T.
We did have E.T., but no, E.T. is not a good game. Yeah.
Alan Moore said that like reading bad books is a good thing to do as an author because that's the thing that inspires you to go make good books. So maybe E.T. was like, this game is terrible. I can do better than that.
I did buy a PlayStation game that way. I saw it for dirt cheap at KB Toys, and I looked at reviews, and it said it was really awful, and I'm just there. I've got to see what's so bad about it.
But don't leave us hanging. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a 3D fighter game, and the controls just did not. They were not responsive.
Oh man, please say it was Soul Calibur because that'd make people so angry.
Clay fighters or something. Yeah, like what was the one with like the weird balls, Extreme Balls 3D or something?
Oh right, remember that? Yeah, I think that was on the Mega Drive, wasn't it? Like the vector fighter, but it wasn't real vectors because of technology at the time.
Yeah.
So we're here. Go ahead.
I don't remember the name of the game, unfortunately. I would have to look it up.
Well, there's something to that, like going against the grain, watching things. I immediately go to movies because I had the same. Everyone told me how horrible Cloud Atlas was until the point where I sat down and watched it, and it was I still think one of the best movies I've seen in at least the top 20. But it's always good to find hidden gems like that, even if it's video games, unless it's Atari's E.T.
Yep. Or Custer's Revenge or something awful like that. So I'm curious, what was like the first game related thing that you made? Did you like get into level editors, or did you like try making games from scratch, or what?
I was trying to make games from scratch on the Commodore VIC-20. Needless to say, they were not very complicated games, and they were all done in BASIC. I wasn't using an assembler at that point, so...
Did the VIC support sprites, or...?
Not, well, you could do it with the assembly code, but you could not do it with the BASIC, no.
Was that like a big hit back in the time? I mean, because that's predating me, and, but...
I don't think it was a huge hit. I think it was more one of those things of it was cheap. So it sold a fair amount simply because of that.
Availability.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. All right. These guys got a bunch of questions. Before we even get into that, I want to talk about why we're here. And that's because of a wholesome, family-oriented cybernetic monkey that likes bananas.
Bananas. Also
known as Mojotron. Not Mojo Jojo. This is a different Mojo. It's got more
not the one from The Simpsons either, who is morbidly obese.
Fair enough. Dennis, you got a Kickstarter, man. And what's this about? Do we get like a little pitch for it?
The concept is that the humans have been wiped out. And machines have taken over the Earth, and they are still experimenting on monkeys, and added cybernetics to this monkey, and he's now using the cybernetics to fight back and break free of the machines.
All right.
What's the origin of the game itself? Like, what was the original mint date on this thing?
Well, the original creator of it was trying to create a game in the style of Robotron 2084 or Lamatron, really closer to Lamatron, where it goes with that wacky style of it. So he had things like AOL discs that you fought. There was a level that had babies, like giant babies. And the title for the level said, "Don't worry, they're just robots."
Oh no!
And they die in these like little explosions of blood, and I'm just there. That's just not good.
So this is where Resident Evil 8 got its inspiration from. I see.
But in playing it, I decided that I really liked the gameplay of it. I wanted a more of a Robotron type feel where it's more of a serious game than the wacky, crazy stuff that was in the original Mojotron, but I felt that the code base was a good start.
Yeah, so speaking about the code base, I've ever since I saw your blurb, I've been wanting to ask you, because like going back and looking at my own code from 6 months ago, it's like a completely different person wrote this. What's it like going into like other people's abandoned projects and like figuring out their fucked up ways of organizing their thoughts? And in some cases, like you're saying, like you in one of your talks you mentioned that like you had to work with Nim, which was a language you only discovered and when you started like trying to implement your achievement thing in the game. So what's that process like, or like what drives you to do that? Because it seems like crazy person work.
Well, the first thing that started it was I had an idea for a Cub Scout project for my kids. Basically, we had some leftover computers and a monitor, and I thought, my father is a woodworker. So I said, can we do a arcade cabinet? So we put together an arcade cabinet, and they did that for their Build It badge. And so once we had the arcade cabinet set up, we needed games for it. And so I came up with specific requirements for it because I wanted it to follow the copyrights, because obviously it'd be easy to just put on an emulator and put a bunch of cool games on. But since it was with the Cub Scouts, I wanted to follow the copyrights and only put games we could legally put on. So I was looking specifically for open source games that had 2 players simultaneous.
Yep.
That requirement is really hard.
Well,
just to find or
yeah, I'm like running
Just
back
to-
right now, right?
Just to
Yeah.
find open source games with 2 players simultaneous. I suppose the other thing is they had to use a joystick and up to 8 buttons.
Yeah,
And so-
I imagine now that I think about it, yeah, open source game devs are notorious for not having any friends, so single player only seems like the likely.
So I just started taking older games and hacking them to add in like a second player in a lot of cases.
That'd be kind of interesting to do with like solitaire.
where you can undo the other person's moves.
Actively mess with the person actually trying to solve it. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Or you
I don't know.
decide what cards they get dealt. Yeah.
I've played Zenduko, and I liked the idea of a competitive Sudoku, but I found that the implementation just wasn't that much fun to me.
Yeah, it seems
also
like
Sudoku, so yeah, no.
it's too much linear algebra.
All right. Speaking of the achievements and working around code bases to introduce achievements, do you still plan on keeping the Gamerzilla development?
Uh,
I do plan on continuing to do that.
why don't you explain what Gamerzilla is for the folks who haven't watched the talks yet?
So Gamerzilla is my open source game achievement system. My premise is that I feel that open source games are losing out to commercial games partially because of the achievement systems that people have. People like that ability to say, I got this achievement, and to be able to show their friends which ones they got. And so Gamerzilla is an attempt of mine to create an achievement system that is distributed so you don't have one central provider of the achievements system, and so that way we can use it for open source games.
That's very good. The one thing I did try to download it from your website, and it gave me a 404. So
It did. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Gotta file a bug.
I will have to look into that.
what were you trying to download? Just the Tortoise you said?
yeah,
Hmm.
I just clicked on it. It's like 404. Okay.
How's
I'll go
the
with it.
how's
Seems
the
legit.
progress? How's the progress on that been, by the way? Because going through your talks, you were the longer one. You had the 20-minute. You're saying that you're trying to work with guys like GameHub and a couple other open source projects. Has that like moved forward at all, or is it still sort of in limbo?
For GameHub, it was one of those things. If I coded it up and the developer wanted to make it more generic, so that he could tie in like the way they get Steam achievements, to make that generic so that it could either be this achievement system or Steam, and so it's basically been waiting for him to have time to do that, or for me to have time to do that. So it's unfortunately been stuck there.
And I guess Mojotron is taking the priority now.
Right.
There's lots of projects that take my priority.
You got several fingers in pots.
I do have that question, though. I mean, what's the viability of getting something like this integrated into Lutris, Strider? Because you're watching.
Yeah, in the audience now.
Lutris, Heroic, all the other ones.
I did approach Lutris at one point, and they didn't seem that interested in it. But
Matthew.
Calling him out.
Wait, you want to get on the call now, Matthew? You got some stuff to say? Surprise! Yeah, this interview took a turn. Now it's a free for all.
Maybe we can get some movement on that for you, possibly.
So I want to talk to you about open source games in general, because that's kind of that seems to be a passion of yours. You're working on achievements systems for them. You're working on restoring old open source games. One thing that definitely is sort of like a common theme across open source games, and I'm curious what your thoughts on. Is there a way to finally divorce open source games from like programmer art? Do you think there's like an exit to like make attractive, like visually compelling open source games? Or do you think it's just all game dev?
How dare you speak ill of Kill X Bill?
I'm sorry, Kill X Suma Thurman, please don't stab me.
There are some games that look pretty good in my opinion. Super Tux Card I think looks pretty good.
That's improved a lot, yes.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There are other ones, like I believe Zero AD has a pretty nice feel to it. I personally have not played that one, but
you know what I got to say about like Zero AD? I probably haven't played it in like 9 years now, but still one of the better looking open source games.
I would say Valoran is now up there as well, even though it's like voxels. Like
it's very voxely, but the lighting effects are very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
Valoran is another one that I think looks really nice. But you are right. In general, we have a lot of programmer art. Really, I think the key is we need to get more artists involved. And we just haven't done a good job of attracting them.
What about like services like Open Game Art?
Open Game Art I love. I use it all the time. The problem is that it's very hard to get enough content in the same style.
Yeah.
So it looks like your modern average Unity game?
Yeah.
Now, I have an idea for a game that just plays right into that. I wanted to make I started working on it. It's the opengameart.org movie video game.
All right.
Movie film for theaters?
Kind of like the way the Lego movie just kind of mashed all the Lego themes together. This would be the same sort of thing, in that all video games are kind of like a slice of what's happening in this video game universe. And so any section that you look at is consistent, but not the whole world.
So would that be playing with like 2D, 3D, or just stylistic?
I was planning on doing it like a role-playing game, so like Final Fantasy or the early Final Fantasies type of thing.
Okay, so
actually
like
mixing everything together. And yeah, okay, I can see that.
There was going to be a level that's a roguelike that's all letters.
Ah, nice.
And that, kids, is how we get to Frog Fractions 3.
So yeah, I guess my other question for you is, so like clearly commercial games technology is moving forward at like light speed pace. Unity is kind of going and off and doing its Unity thing, whatever the hell that is. You have up and coming open source engines like Godot, stuff like Unreal Engine 5 is now like fully source available. You can like check out the Git repo. They provide fully Linux boundaries. Where do you see these trends sort of going in open source gaming? In sort of like how games are being created, what sorts of games are being created, what are some opportunities or pitfalls do you see sort of on the horizon? Being someone in
earlier today was Fedora Nest, an online conference for Fedora contributors.
Fedora Solidarity, yes. Yes.
I happened to do a presentation for game development for Fedora. And so my beginning of my talk was explaining, what libraries you could use to build your game engine and everything. And then the next slide, I said, don't do that. Just download Godot. Start there if that's what you want to do, is to make a game. Don't spend the time making an engine.
That's very good advice.
That sounds oddly familiar from last week, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Now, I will say, I have said this for a while now since I started playing around with Godot, and I have also created my own engine for a game since then. So clearly I haven't learned.
I understand the temptation is there. That's something I brought up last week when, non-ironically, we were talking about Kickstarters and some Kickstarters that have just immediately burned through a lot of cash because step one was like, let's create our own engine. Like, no.
Reinvent the wheel. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you were. I actually watched or listened to your show about that, and you were talking about the game that just released their source code. I did look at the source code.
Mm.
They said that the prototype was the one that had the most content. That was the one they did not have the source code for.
Oh,
lovely.
So yeah, that annoyed me.
Womp womp.
Speaking of releasing games, with all the work that you're putting into those old games and like Mojotron, would you consider putting those games, making them commercially available, if assuming the you yourself are interested and that the original developers agreed?
I have started going over and putting up some games that I've worked on itch.io. So I've put up Anagrammarama, and I put up Alchemy Quest.
Are you going to try to get any of the open source games on the Microsoft Store?
No.
Or on Steam, for that matter?
You don't even have to try the Microsoft Store. I think just put it up there. Say it's yours. Right next to my copy of OBS that I invented.
Steam I like Steam, but I hate Steam.
Mm.
So I think it is a great tool for being able to play games. You have Steam, you click the game, you can start it up and play. But at the same time, it has that digital rights management built into it that I really don't care for. There was a time where I hadn't started it up for a little bit, and I started it up without a network connection, and it told me I couldn't play the game.
Okay, what I do want to bring up, not to defend Steam, but what I found a surprising, strange use, if you had told me this 10 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, you're crazy, get out of here, is with open source software, Steam is how I keep an up-to-date, no-fuss version of Blender around.
I agree. It's a great tool, and I as I said, I dislike it, but I do like it. So the only thing that's stopped me to some degree from putting things on Steam is that I've been concerned about whether I have the rights to do that.
Right.
Whether
Yeah.
in particular, whether
creator.
whether I need to use their SDK or not. Because
is Steamworks a hard requirement?
No.
From what I understand, it's not. So I think I should be able to do it without that. You just can't have achievements and stuff. But
yeah, you can't have achievements. You can't use.
But
Steam
hey,
input.
you have your own achievement system, so that's
yeah.
that is true.
Yeah.
So what has it been like? Because I mean, the thing I was reading through the email that you initially sent us, and I saw ClanLib, and I'm like, man, there's a name I haven't heard in wow, like the 90s, probably. And like, what's it like moving something like from ClanLib to something usable that's going to be around a while, like SDL2?
Okay, so ClanLib, Fedora includes ClanLib 0.6, which is what Mojotron used. It includes ClanLib 1, and it includes ClanLib 2. As far as I know, there are no games that are using ClanLib 0.6 or 1 on Fedora. There are 2 games that used ClanLib 2, and that was Open Alchemist and Super Methane Brothers.
Mm.
There is
yes.
ClanLib 3 and ClanLib 4. To my knowledge, no distribution has ever included them.
Yeah,
I couldn't find games using them.
I just did an app search on the Debian box in front of me right now. Yeah, it's like ClanLib 1.0 v5.
So like, what's it like moving from like that old like janky library to something like new and current
and shiny like SDL2? Yeah.
Well, for the Mojotron, I had the advantage of modifying Open Alchemist first. So that was using ClanLib 2. And so I created some wrapper classes and some things I rewrote, but I had a lot of wrappers so that it just pretended like it was ClanLib, but was actually using SDL.
Okay, sort of like a SDL2 CL type thing, where it's like an interceptor library, right?
Yep. And so when I got to Mojotron, the ClanLib 0.6, it's not API compatible, but the basic design is the same. So I was able to reuse a lot of that code to bring it up and run it again.
Okay.
Now, I do have some questions. Something, I think we were talking about this last week, is Linux sucks at backwards compatibility. It does. I mean, it's gotten better.
API breakage, glibc. Thank you.
Yeah, you gotta ship entire library sets sometimes. Yeah.
I got a shelf of Loki titles that look good in a box.
So for making Anagrammarama available on itch.io, I wanted it to be able to run on as many distributions as possible. So I started testing it out on some of them. To build it, it's using Gamerzilla. So I went back to the earliest version of Fedora that had Gamerzilla, and I built it on that. And I packaged all the libraries except for like glibc with it, and set up the paths or whatever so that it loads those libraries instead of the system libraries, so that you run this shell script that'll allow it to run on any system theoretically.
Have you looked at stuff like Flatpak or AppImage for that? Or
I then went over and ran it on a Debian machine, and it did not run. The Fedora glibc on the earliest version of Fedora that had libgamerzilla, it's later than the version of glibc on Debian, so it doesn't currently run.
Now, something, Jordan, you bring up like our brave new world that we've kind of entered into is everyone is just targeting Windows API, Win32.
Yes. Wine.
Wine does a better job running old stuff than Windows does. I mean,
Yeah.
especially on Windows. So,
Well, I happen to have a nuclear throne from itch.io, and I cannot run the Linux version. So I run it under Wine.
do you see that sort of as like the long-term direction of how Linux gaming is going to go? Is it just like because Wine handles all that level of compatibility? Does it just make more sense to just say, hey, just ship a Windows binary and it will run in Wine? Or
For commercial games, yeah, I think that's probably the way it's going to go. Unfortunately, or well, I suppose there's some caveat to that. Flatpak, that theoretically can make that problem go away. I have not had a chance to play with it myself, but I see that as a potential solution for commercial games.
That was actually one of the things that I wanted to ask was even the non-open source Linux games, the commercially available Linux native games that you had that don't work anymore. Do you have any interest in trying to get those up to date if you could get in touch with the developers and they let you have had?
Not really. I happen to like open source development. I worked on the commercial game Devil's Whiskey. Did you find that in your research on me?
Nope.
Okay. So I have worked on a commercial release. I still happen to have a copy of the source code to the game, but I can't go over and make an update to it. And so I like the ability to give out the source code and allow other people to make updates.
That's good. Let's the project survive you, which is always important. Well, I guess if that's everything, Dennis, want to thank you again.
Well,
for,
we got to do some more plugging, baby. We're not even getting warmed up because I need to talk about these Kickstarter levels.
I was going to segue to that.
But listen,
there's one question that we need to ask, and Linux Neuro was kind enough to remind us earlier, which is what is the ideal or the perfect grilled cheese sandwich in your opinion?
Well, is this some type of weird sexual fetish with you, Pedro?
You started it, and Captain Mayo Pants, Iculus, Ryan C. Gordon.
He really doesn't like it when you bring up the mayo. So,
Ryan will do the cooking show one day.
I tend to go with a rather plain grilled cheese, but I like to have sliced tomatoes in it.
Sliced tomatoes. Okay, you're the second person to put sliced tomatoes. Okay, all right.
I will segue. Right. Here's something I want to talk about. Check that out.
Yeah, segues.
Kickstarter.com. What do they search for? Just Mojotron? Is that going to pull it directly up?
Yeah, I suspect so. I haven't tried myself, but I assume there's only one Mojotron.
See, we have that in common. We're horrible at self-promotion. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe with our powers combined, we can get this backed, though.
Yeah.
Robot Wars, 2 backers. You got a reasonable pledge, guys.
Very conservative. He's not going to make a new engine from scratch.
This is, hey, I want to get this done. Let's get it financed. 29 days to go. We got to take a look at the rewards, though. Let's see. Let's see what we can get out of this. $1.
Are you offering to have someone to have dinner with you? Because that seems to be like...
I'll let you take me out on a very expensive date, but you got to pay.
I did debate an offer for someone to come and play on the arcade machine I have, because Mojotron does run on that.
All right.
But I did not put that in there.
$5 or more, buy the game, digital copy of game for Windows and or the Linux is $100. Here we go. Now we're getting good.
Get to name the robots.
Name a robot. Wouldn't you love to have a Swangobot 9000?
It'd just be straight up Turbo Cocksmasher 9000, right?
Okay,
The classic.
Not only do you get that, you get a digital copy of the game for Windows and Linux. Plus, you get to name the robot. And let's look at this. Reasonable delivery time, October of the 2020.
It's a great time to be releasing a game like Mojotron too, because this is like the height of the popularity of Vampire Survivors, and that is very much along those lines. So very good timing.
I don't know. Listen, we can name the AOL CD after Jordan.
JOL, Jordan Online. You know, at least it's not JOI. All right. Well, like I was saying, before I dig myself an even deeper grave, thank you, Dennis, for coming on our 10-year anniversary podcast and talking to us about open source game dev. It's been a long, crazy ride, and thank you for grabbing the bumper on the way past the finish line. Got anything else you want to plug before you leave?
I will also say that there are T-shirts with the 2 different cyborg monkeys on the Mojotron website, but I'm kind of scared of doing physical rewards in the Kickstarter, so I just kind of, if you want those, just go to the website and order them directly.
All right, that's very good. Yes, considering some of the other Kickstarters.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's all there. We'll make sure all the links and stuff are in the description, so don't worry about that. It'll be in the show notes, linuxgamecast.com, with all of the links. This is so cool, man. I'm glad somebody's out there. Hopefully, there's lots and lots of Dennis's out there. Like, man, we need to preserve this stuff.
Hopefully, there's some new ones now. Because, like, hey, here's an example of someone who's done it. It seems like a daunting challenge, but you're doing it in your spare time to keep your kids occupied, right? Like,
I actually have. I did get contacted by someone who was trying to restore a game that was written in Lisp, I think.
I knew it.
Okay.
I knew it.
Ooh.
I can't say that's a language I really enjoy. So,
I gotta ask. Ever since starting this project, how many programming languages have you added under your belt? I'm curious.
Well, all the initial ones I did were C or C++, and then for Gamerzilla, I immediately started with Python because I somehow thought that would be the easiest solution.
All right.
Okay.
Several people make that mistake.
Then I moved on to, I don't know whether Nim was next. Then I did Vala for the Game Hub. There was Lua in there for Marvelous Inc.
Lua can die in every single fire ever created.
I don't mind Lua.
I am not a software developer, and I have to tango with Lua for this DAW, because that's the scripting language for it, and I loathe it with a passion.
I also did some Java, although I knew Java beforehand, so that wasn't completely new. But I haven't done it in a long time, so.
I wonder if that's where people's like Java development like ends, because like I remember that class in university.
Oh yeah, high school or
for you kids, yeah.
Yeah, or
university for me, object-oriented programming. Yeah.
Back in my day, we had
did,
client-side Java on the web.
Man, what dark times those were. Well, Inquisition done. Dennis, thank you again for showing up. And stay tuned for the hate mail.
Remember, kids,
Rascally Wabbits.
It means no.
Means no. Just no. And if you'd like to contest that particular opinion, you should go talk to your local authorities. They will probably elucidate you on that matter. If you'd like to, ask us a question, make a suggestion, say disparaging remarks about our family members, you can absolutely do that. You can go to linuxgamecast.com, you hit the contact button, there's a form you gotta fill. It's fairly simple. If you're not sure why your thing isn't going through, read the caveats at the top, or just read the caveats before you even try to send it. It'll save you some time.
Like somebody did that we talked to this week. Here's a reminder. Go check out Dennis's Kickstarter. Links in the description. But yeah, he like read Spam Golem. There's an email thing there. You select the right things. You hit the buttons. The Spam Golem doesn't eat your stuff. And yeah, you're good to go.
Good old S Payne.
S-Pain.
Not quite as good as T Pain, but S Payne.
Well, I was trying to do the sponge. We need a SpongeBob. Okay, somebody needs to make this. Where it does the SpongeBob text.
Oh,
alternating
Yeah.
cap lowercase.
I just straight up need that button on the keyboard. It just
You just
But
modify
we
what
do have
caps
some
lock
hate
does.
little bit. Misery might love company because last week we talked about Valve doing something that caught everyone less shocked because we tend to forget Valve time has the potential to work both ways.
it giveth and it taketh away.
Yeah. No one was expecting that swing because what they said is like, hey, if you get a reservation, it doesn't matter what queue you're in, you're getting it before the end of 2022. Rejoice. And
There was not much rejoicing. There was a lot of cursing.
I think there was a significant amount of rejoicing, but there was a non-insignificant amount of like, I've already spent that fucking money. That money wasn't going to be due until like 2023, like Q3, Q4, Valve time, man. I'm not gonna have to worry about this deck until late next year. What do you mean it's coming? And curse.
Misery says, the Henry Cavill Witcher meme is 100% accurate. I had the money ready. Then I saw my reservation would likely be available next summer. I spent all the money on new PC peripherals and stuff on Prime Day, and now I'm in Q4. Fuck. What? Little womp womp, as we say in the business.
At least he didn't like blow it on anime figurines or something. He was like, no, I got some.
I got a new mouse. I got a monitor or whatever. Yeah,
You got something. And even
Prime
then,
Day, yeah, there's bound to be a lot of good stuff. So yeah,
but
that's how I got an
especially,
exercise bike. Yeah.
well, think about it. The downside of that is you could grow like a little bit of like hatred towards whatever you bought. You're like, oh, hello,
Hello, not
Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
buyer's remorse. How do you do?
Talk about probably a couple of motherfuckers out there going, all right, what's the refund? What's the maximum window on that?
Yeah. Can I sell one of my organs? For how much?
Although there's still, until Q4. With a bit of luck, you'll be at the end of Q4, so you got another 4 months until December.
Well, it's like the worst timeline too because you can't dump your Nvidia card.
No, yeah.
No one wants it.
The price on that's come down a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, outside of like, if you can't sell your organ, try to sell your piano. I don't know.
Sell a tuba, trombone.
Just make sure it's not rusty. No one likes it.
Some people like a rusty trombone. What are you talking about?
Do you think?
Womp womp.
Okay, let's bring in some Valve time, like some real things here. Let's think about it. When do you think in 2023 we can go down to the Valve store and buy a cup full of Steam Deck?
I'm hoping, and this is like optimism, Jordan here. I'm hoping like Q2 you can just like order a Steam Deck and they'll like send you one within a couple weeks. But I don't know. Supply
End of Q2, beginning of Q3, like June, July. Then
another boat might get stuck in a canal somewhere, and we've seen how that turns out. So,
okay, what if this happens? You get your change together, and you're like, okay, this is what I'm waiting because I'm kind of waiting on that because I just know I'm going to pack up a Steam Deck, and I want them free flowing because I don't want anyone giving me shit for fucking it up because I'm tearing it apart, man. Let's say you get your money, Q3 rolls around, like Valve's like, all right, Steam Decks in all the channels. You can go to wherever and just pick one up and announcing we're starting to take pre-orders for Steam Deck 2.
Oh, they're absolutely going to do that shit. I don't care. I'm used to that. I bought
that
my
would be a
1080
very
Ti.
good way to do it because you can get a product now, or you can maybe get the better one.
Mm-hmm.
Listen. I have paid the $1,000 for my 1080 Ti only to hear the announcements about the 2080 Ti a week later. So
But then you always have the people that want to be part of the conversation, and this is usually about like when you bring up a CPU or especially like video card upgrades. because we'll be discussing something like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about getting this. And like, oh, well, yeah, well, I've been looking into getting this. And like, what are you running? GTX 480. Like, get the fuck out of here. You got to buy something at some point, man. When you're like 5 generations behind.
Yeah.
Let's see, GTX 480. Yeah, that's about the level of performance that you get out of the GPU in the Steam Deck.
He doesn't mean that.
With much better DirectX 12 performance, like much better.
Pedro, you legitimately would have like some clue. Like, where does the integrated graphic? What is this? Does this thing even tell me? I don't know. Whatever. the Radeon, whatever the hell it has built inside of it.
Is it a Vega 7 or a Vega 10?
A Vega 8, I think.
Or
it's
Vega 8.
It's an AMD Radeon graphics built-in model.
Right. It doesn't say Vega 7 or Vega 8 or Vega 10 anywhere.
That would be a lot more reading than I care to at this point, but I don't see anything that says anything. It's just
yeah, because the Vega 7, like in terms of...
Yeah, it's a Vega 7.
Yeah, in terms of raw performance, I think the closest comparison would be like the 860M.
The fuck's that?
It was
the GPU on the Dell Steambox.
Yeah, the Dell the Alpha or the Dell Steambox, or some laptops had the 860M. It's almost as good as a 750, almost, but not quite, because it's still integrated graphics.
But you do get the benefits of ACO and all the other like Proton optimization.
Yes, so that is the big advantage. Is like VKD 3D, the performance is much better. The ACO, you're going to get a lot better shader compilation performance when compared to NVIDIA. It's
All right. I look forward to Valve. Give me my Steam Brick. That's what I want. Please. I want a Steam Deck. No screen, no controller, just holes.
I wonder if by then there will be like the iFixit guide of like, do you just want a Steam Deck little set-top box? Here's how you remove the board and stick it in a new case.
Oh man, I'll come in here with the overhead with a hacksaw. And I will get legitimate death threats. It'd be awesome.
I mean,
just saw the areolas off the controller.
The main board on the Steam Deck is the one where the
ASM saw,
USB
baby.
port is.
Yeah.
So you can.
Well, it's ASMR. The S stands for saw. Auto saw meridian response. Don't you know? All those ASMR channels with the chainsaw, they go, people go to sleep on that.
Tune in next week for our brand new YouTube channel, ASMR with chainsaws. But until then, you can always catch us live, 7:30 if you're a patron. Pop in our Discord, pre super shows. We're there, all in your face, audio only, but video for our executive producers because they're super awesome like that. 8:30 back here on Twitch. And, of course, Spotify, Odyssey, YouTube, you name it, we're there. We're very promiscuous. Get in touch with me. I'm usually pretty much hanging out on Twitter, at Vinstone, doing that over there. Still active on our Mastodon, mast.linuxgamecast.com. Screaming in multiple directions, and of course, hit me in IRC or hit me in our super secret Discord.
I am the sawed-off areola man himself. You can follow me on Twitter at The Burning Fool or twitch.tv/burningfool.
And you can find me playing with my deck.
You almost said the other thing.
Yes.
You almost said the other thing.
But yes, not on Twitter. No, you got to pay extra for that. Not really. You can find me on Twitter at @accounted4. That is the social media where I'm at. I'm technically also on Mastodon, but I don't really use it.
He's secretly a TikTok star too, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man,
I'm a little too old for that.
Let's roll some credits.
You just gotta shave, then no one can tell the difference. Oh man.
10
Look
years.
At them go.
10 years.
Yeah. One day we'll finally hit puberty. But until then, we gotta thank our advisors, Omegas and Artherin, our executive producers. Look at the go. Space Areolas, Bob Ramp, Scott and Michos, Atomic Ass, Mike G, Mike T, Drummer, Kohaku George, Pebble, Tomaj Nunoid, and our little Nicky fans, Abstraction, Next Pyramid.
With the CMOS, there's Renault, Rider X, Machina, Trudgy, Vertinuda, Justin, Frostclaw, Nubbin, David, Darkwing, and System T.
Death Notes, Brigham, Nova K, Basil, Chad, Romero, Marcin, Cam, Smash the G, Craig, Renee, Dirty Dean, Back, Dimitron, Dodgers, Anthros Gaming, Roll, Turnover, Cheesy Bacon, Kai, Jora, Stein, and Fox fine.
He actually gave us a pronunciation guide. It's Kadre.
Yeah. Sky Linux. Sky Linux. And all the cheerlings, Zin, Pebble, Monica, -9, Dementor, Zeno, Douglas, Livet,
JPX.
Sacred Egg, Fellatio.
Sacred Egg and Livet. Thank you both so much.
Yep, and these fuckers glowing behind Ven in the walls.
Man, get it right. Fine, upstanding cannibals. Each and every one of them.
Find upstanding cannibalers.
So do you think we will physically be alive 10 years from now?
No.
No?
No.
I don't know.
Well, we have worked out a situation to lock Pedro in Spain.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
In a freezer.
Everyone.
Bye.
5 dudes.